miss all of your faces. I'm so happy that that you all are free to join me now for this conversation for Barrymore's Buzz about Once on This Island. Um, let's introduce ourselves for those people who don't know who we are. I am Amina Robinson and I directed Once on This Island. I'm going to throw it over to Miss Chabrelle.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chabrelle Williams, and I guess I played Mama Yurali in Once on This Island.
I'll go next. Hi, my name is Ryane Nicole Studivant, and I played Erzuli in Once on This Island.
I can go next. My name is Eliana Pinckney, and I was a storyteller and the dance captain.
And I'll go last. My name is Jamie Powell, and I was one of the storytellers.
Amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're here joined, as you see, with some cast members from Once on This Island, and I'm excited to talk about the show, the process, and also how we're feeling about all of this Barrymore buzz, since this is the Barrymore Buzz StreamYard video here. Did we first have any reactions? How do you all feel about that? Are you surprised, or do you feel like we knew this was coming? I don't know. How are you all feeling about all these Barrymore nominations? Because I think in total there are 8 for this show.
I think it's 9.
9. Okay.
I was like
9.
I could be wrong. It might be 8. It might be 8. I might be wrong.
8 or 9. Either way, it's a ton of nominations for this show. So how are we feeling? Let's start off there. How are we feeling about all the buzz? Anybody can go.
Ryan, you want to kick us off?
Sure. I mean, it was. I thought it was super surprising because it was such a really saturated year, I thought, for musicals this year. So there was a lot of possibilities, and so I felt really lucky that not only were we recognized, but we were recognized so many different times, and so many different ways and levels, and some design and some performances, and overall ensemble and show, of course, is always just such an honor. So I was super excited.
Yeah. Jamie, did you have something you wanted to say too?
I did, yeah. I feel like while we were doing the show, we heard a lot of buzz from people that were coming to see it, to say how much they loved it and how amazing it was. Like every single part of this show, like the set, the music, the dancing, like we could not stop hearing people's praises. So it's not a surprise that we got nominated, but it is surprising that me and Eliana were in this show that got nominated, because we're kids. We're still young, and this isn't normal. So it's super, super exciting. And when I read the news, I feel like it took a little bit to settle in until it was like, we saw you in person, I think, and you were like, y'all are Barrymore nominated. And I was like, wait, we are.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible. It really is incredible. Can you talk a little bit about that? Who are you all? You all are Temple students, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Can you talk to me about a little bit about what it was like going into this show as Temple students?
Yeah. It wasn't entirely scary because we had the comfort of you in the room. We had Devin Sinclair there, and we had Gina Giacaro, like our favorite pianist, like ever. And so because of those things, we had a little bit of a cushion going into the room. But I know me and Eliana like tell the story all the time of going in on that first day and being in this professional space and just seeing the way that we were taken care of as just like professional actors, is quite a difference between the experience that we get like in university, because we have less resources and people are much more stretched for time. So there just isn't much opportunity for us to get that type of experience. But there was a lot of leaning on each other and being like, hey, like, we're tired today, but we get to go rehearse for this professional show at the Arden, and it's a show that is super close to both of our hearts. and with such amazing artists. Like, we got to work in a space every day with artists who are older than us, so we can see like what our future might look like. Um, so it was this really interesting experience of living like in a potential future for us that was our present, and then still like coming from school some days, like literally leaving campus and coming to rehearsal and being like, ooh, we got this video to record for class, or ooh, I got this essay to write, like while I'm not being used in rehearsal. So balancing act for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Eliana?
I completely agree with everything Jamie said. We started rehearsal like as finals were approaching, which was a crazy thing to experience. But once the school year officially ended, I at first was like, oh, like this is great. Like I've got a break from learning. But I think the biggest thing that I learned from this experience was that as an artist, like I am now a lifelong learner. And I feel like I learned so much just by not only being at the Arden and learning from the creative team, but also the cast and everyone who was on set and crew and everything like that. Just I learned so much about my artistry and how to treat other people in the business, how other people work in the industry. And those are just lessons that I couldn't learn in school. And those are things that I didn't think I would learn at 20, much less like 5-10 years after I graduated. So I just feel so blessed to have been able to have experienced that. Because I feel like it really just molded the kind of artist that I want to become in the future. And now I have even more aspirations than what I knew I had when I got to Temple. So yeah, just really blessed and eye-opening that whole experience was.
Nice. So that's great. It sounds like you all made your professional Philly debut at the Arden, which is like so cool. But bringing it over here to Chabrelle and Ryane, I do believe there were some Arden debuts here as well, possibly for Chabrelle. Maybe is this your Philly theater debut? I'm not sure. How are you all feeling coming into Once on this Island?
Yeah, technically, the Arden was my Philly theater debut. I've done work at Media Theater, but that's in Media, Pennsylvania, technically. So, so I consider the Arden my Philly debut, and it's kind of wild that the first show that I was a part of got nominated for so many awards. I think it took me a long time to process too. I had to keep checking the site to be like, and read like how many, who, what. I mean, sure, that tracks because that's, as Jamie said, we were getting accolades from reviews for every part of the show. You know, there was no part of the show that was bad, or like there was no weak link, I should say.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
strong cast, strong music, strong everything, and like the community that I think that we built as well, like as a cast, was just something really special too, and I think made us being nominated for all of these awards just made it that more special.
Yeah. Ryan, you have a great
I mean,
story.
there was so many of our debuts. So that was what was so crazy, is that it was the majority of the cast's Arden debuts. And so, yeah, that was super, super special. For anyone watching who doesn't know me personally, I've been trying to get at the Arden for a very long time. And I actually also used to be staff, an employee there in front of house. And I was that for years. And I've also understudied there, but I've never actually gotten on the main stage before. So it was super, super special for me to be up there every single night. I felt so privileged. And, they were talking about looking up to the older people. Are you kidding me? I was looking up to y'all. I was in rehearsal like, these kids are dancing. We were all, I guess, maybe inspiring each other, because there was definitely no, looking up to these people because they're this or that. We were all, so many of us were making our Arden debuts. We were just so happy to be in the room and telling this beautiful story. So it was really special.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, going into this, one of the things that that became really important for me to explore was how people build community. In this particular instance, it was how communities are built from devastation, and how we find the power collectively, but also within ourselves, to join together collectively to create a community and to sustain ourselves. Also, how our histories are the things that support us, that, the notion that we are where we are because of where we've been. Um, and so that was sort of my special connection to the show and the thing that I wanted to explore artistically. We decided to set it squarely in Haiti and in current day Haiti. And at the time, there was a lot of upheaval happening in Haiti. And so we placed it right there in Port-au-Prince. And these were the people who lived there, living their lives after a storm, but also living in the storm of all the violence that was present as well. That was my connection to it and what I wanted to explore. And I'm curious to know if going into this project, if any of you had some sort of special connection to it or to the story or a special desire to do this show in particular. And if so, what was it and why?
Me personally, Once on This Island was the first musical that I did ever, and it was at Temple with Amina and Devin, and that was a crazy experience for so many reasons. It really, I think, solidified the fact that this was something that I wanted to do with my life, and just having the ability to tell a story of people and communities that aren't often told, not only in theater, but just nationally in the US. And being able to be a part of that story, especially as an ensemble member, I feel like the reason that I do my art is because I like telling stories of people that don't often get to have their stories told. And in the script, knowing that the ensemble isn't listed as ensemble and we're listed as storytellers, I feel like just reinforced what I wanted to do with my art. So when I found out that the Arden was doing it, I was like, even if I'm not in it, if I understudy it, if I work on it, if I go see it, like, I just knew it would be something so special to me. So the fact that I was able to do it again and just approach it in a new way after 2 years and feeling like I've learned so much more about myself as an artist, I was just excited and eager to be with so many people of so many different cultural backgrounds and take all of those experiences and help it infuse the story that I was telling through the show.
Yeah. Anybody else want to respond to that? Anyone else?
I did Once on This Island a really, really long time ago. So I was excited to revisit the story in a different way and tell it again. And I had seen the Broadway revival a couple of years ago, and that reignited everything as well about the story and wanting to tell it. And as far as your take and the community, and that was so special. And I think that I hope that we did it justice, really targeting like what was going on in Haiti. But I also think that one of the reasons that people may be connected to it, regardless of how up you are on the current events of what's going on in Haiti, like I think we all know right now what rebuilding and needing a community and love looks like. And, after devastation and things that have gone wrong and worldly and things like that. So I think that was maybe one of the reasons that people connected to the show so much. So that's definitely Amina's vision there that we're trying to portray. So thank you.
Thank you. Great. So since this is Barrymore Buzz, how do you feel about the Philly theater community and what we're about to go celebrate? Are any of you excited for anything in particular about Philly theater community coming together? For me, I'll start. I know that I don't really get to see everybody all the time. And so there's something special about the Barrymore Awards and Philly theater when we all get together and we all have the opportunity to party together and get dressed up. And, like I remember Devin last year with the big hat and the fringe coming down. Like, I just love the vibe and the energy because I think that essentially the Philly theater community knows how to come together, So anybody else have any thoughts? What are you looking forward to? How do you feel about the Philly theater community coming together to celebrate one more time this year?
I am super excited because this is our first Barrymores. And I think the really cool thing about the Philly theater community is that, like, there's always something going on. There's always something to see. And people are always, exercising their capacity as artists in like a million different ways. And so it's such a special opportunity that we'll be able to have all of these like amazing artists in one place, and it just will be a place where people feel like they can really be themselves. I think Philly does a really good job of showing theater as an avenue for like the human to shine, and I think that's shown through like a lot of like the devised works that happen here, and a lot of like the retelling of stories, and even just in our story itself, how like we are storytellers, and even the gods are like taking on characters. I think the people here are really prioritized in a way, like, because it is still a business, but I think the people here are prioritized in a way that you don't see a lot in other places.
Love that.
I love the Barrymores. I love first of all, the theater community here in Philadelphia, and try to be a supporter in every way I can, in general. And so I just always love the night that is there to celebrate all of us. And I like to constantly say that I think the Barrymores, while the actual awards and the actual nominations, and we say that it is, recognizing excellence in theater, but it's really a night where the community comes together and we just get to party and celebrate each other. And I think that that's so cool. And I want everyone that wants to be there to always be there, and getting a chance to meet new people, and see people that you haven't seen because you're working on a show and you haven't seen them in a bit. And, everyone has different schedules, or the same schedule that's in different places rather. And so it's that one Monday night that we all can come together, and been going to the Barrymores for a really long time. So this one's going to definitely be really, really super special.
Even though I was born and raised in Philly and I've spent a lot of time here, I was never a part of the Philly theater community until I moved back, which was like a few years ago in 2020. And I didn't really, I really don't consider myself a part of the Philly theater community yet, until I actually did the show at the Arden. And so it's what I'm feeling about the theater community in Philly is that they're close, and that we all respect each other, and that we all love each other, and that we all support each other. Like the amount of support that I feel like I've done a few auditions around the city, and different theaters around the city, and every person on the staff there is like, oh, we saw the show at the Arden, it was great. And I love that there's camaraderie between the different companies. There doesn't seem to be any sort of competition. And so this will be my first Barrymore attendance. I hope I can actually make it, because I think it's the 28th, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's my day off in New York, so I can probably come back, and there are tickets left. But like, I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss the night, because I want to meet everyone. I want to see who's here. I don't know. I feel like I just dipped my toe into the Philly theater community, and I want to like dive in.
Yeah. Any challenges? Because people always see the finished product all polished up and lovely. And I remember the first musical that I ever performed in, I had / still a little bit have a phobia of singing. People don't really know that about me too much, but I do. It's part of the reason why I just sing out all the time, because I'm really terrified. But my first musical, I was the lead, and I was so scared. And every single night I would get on stage and say a real life actual prayer at the end of the show, when I had to sing 3 songs back to back. And I just built it into my character. I said, every night Sparkle is going to get out on this stage and say a prayer. But it was actually me praying, because I was terrified. Were there any challenges that you all met when you were doing the show? Because I know that choreography was a lot. Devin is a very athletic choreographer, So what are some of the things that you encountered during the process that you were like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this, but here we are?
For me personally, I am a dancer who dances with my spirit and emotions first, which is lovely when you're doing a cute little step touch, a little jazz square. That's stamina for days. However, Devin Sinclair is a superhuman, and he can do things that Olympic athletes can't. And he just has so much faith in his cast and his dancers that we can also do those things. And it's Devin Sinclair. Like, nobody's gonna be like, oh, Devin, actually, I don't feel like doing that today. I can't do that. So we all just do it. And we do it in rehearsal once, and he's like, great, like, that's it. We're keeping it in the show. And you're like, oh, lovely. That looks so cool. But then when you have to do the show multiple times a week and run numbers multiple times so that they can get cleaned, it starts to take a genuine tax and toll on your body. And being the type of dancer that I am, I like to put on the best performance possible and not often give my body the care that it needs to be able to keep that up in a healthy way. And I've never had to perform that many times at that heightened level of dancing before. So I think that was the biggest challenge, just learning how to take care of myself as an actor and a dancer, because the only reason I get to do things like this is if I keep up my body and keep myself in the best physical shape as possible. So developing a routine to be able to do the show, taking care of my physical health, honestly, more than my mental health, because Devin is crazy, y'all. But it was worth it because he got us Barrymore-nominated. So thank God for him.
That's hilarious. I cannot wait. It is my ultimate hope that Devin sees this. That's amazing. Anything else? And not just to throw into the mix, not just challenges, other things that were surprises. Anything great that happened that you were like, I wasn't expecting this to come out of this job, anything else? So challenges or something just surprising and great. That was funny, Eliana.
I mean, piggybacking off of what you said about being terrified to sing, and Chabrelle can attest to this because it was the entire run of the show that I was still doubting myself and my abilities. So, but yeah, I think my biggest challenge was getting over the fact that my voice does not sound like the original Erzuli, and the voice that, if you know the soundtrack, if you know all of the famous people who've played it before, I don't sound like that. And so it really, I struggled with trying to sound like that, because that's what I thought I was supposed to be, because that's what we've heard for, however long you've been listening to this show and know it well. And so that was my biggest challenge, is releasing that expectation and finding my own voice within the song. So, but hopefully we got there. So.
And you got a Barrymore nomination for the role too. Imagine that.
Still insane. Insane to hear and say and see.
It means it's to be unique, to always be yourself.
Yeah.
It sounds so simple, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you were taught that in kindergarten, but it's a lesson that I think we all can remind ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
Stop comparing and stop trying to be someone else, something else, sound like something else, look like something else.
Yeah. The constant reminders of that is so important.
Yeah.
I tell my students it's self-abuse, and we don't abuse ourselves, do we? No, we don't abuse ourselves. Anybody else? Any other challenges or surprises?
I had a particular challenge. I always have this challenge, but I think for this show, it was bigger. So I come from the realm of opera. I'm mostly trained as I'm a soprano. I'm a classically trained.
Boy, are you ever.
However, I suffer from major imposter syndrome. I don't show it because I've lived with it for a very long time, and like in the past couple of years, I've learned how to just not walk in that energy, but it's always in here. There's always an inner saboteur telling me you're not good enough and you're not worthy of this. And I had that happening to me the entire time for the show. But because I think, and like, I really only talked to a few other people in the cast about it, because again, I'm new in the community and I don't want, some heavy imposter syndrome can be like talking about that stuff. I almost cursed. I don't want to curse. I'm sure it's just, it can be mind numbing, and it can like really be distracting. So that was my biggest challenge throughout the entire show. But because of the cast, because of you, Amina, because of Gina, because of everyone along the way, it's me like, hey, you're doing a thing. You're doing something special. And I was like, okay, I'm not my inner saboteur was telling me, you're only doing this because you're not good enough for opera. That was the biggest
Wow.
in my brain. And I was like, but this is an amazing show. What are you saying? What are you saying? So that was my biggest challenge the entire run. But I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I didn't listen to that voice that's constantly there. Because look at the people that I know now and that I get to see all the time and like talk to.
That's so interesting. It's always interesting to think about how we may feel on the inside versus what people are receiving on the outside, you know? Um, that's so interesting. I would have never, ever, ever guessed.
I'm not gonna let you know either.
I couldn't tell. Not the way you was up there singing. Here's a fun fact, and I'm gonna say it here for everybody to hear because
I already know. I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Chabrelle walked in the room to audition, and after her very first audition, I turned to Johnny and I said, "Whatever role she wants, just call her up and let her pick." I said, "Who is this woman? Whatever she wants, just call her up." And we laughed. And then Devin, can I say the Devin part too? Devin turns to us after he has said nothing about Chabrelle. He's nothing. Chabrelle just comes in as a stranger. We don't know Chabrelle. After I'm in here screaming, like, "Who is this woman? I love her. Just call her. Let her pick whatever role she wants. She could be anybody." All this stuff. Devin turns to me very shyly and he was like, "That's my cousin."
I love it.
I was like, "Well, your cousin's gonna be somewhere in the show." and we called you back to literally sing for like every person in the show.
Love it.
And my thinking was, I was like, oh, they called me back for all. Does that mean that I didn't do the other one well? I'm so confused.
I was like, everybody. She can do anything. That's literally what happened. Yeah. So that it's just so very interesting. It's so interesting. What's on the radar for you all next after the Barrymore Awards? What's happening with you all? Anything fun? You all into anything fun?
I don't know after the Barrymores, but I'm currently in a production of Legally Blonde playing Paulette right now, which closes literally the day before the Barrymores. So, so that's what I'm doing now. And then gonna hop on over to Theater Horizon in December and do their holiday concert as well. So that's it for me.
Awesome.
I am getting ready to do The Tempest at Temple University. I will be playing Trinculo. I have my first rehearsal for that tomorrow, actually. So I am super excited to get to do some Shakespeare. It is definitely a complete 180 from Once on This Island. But I am really, really looking forward to it.
Yes. Eliana, did you just finish something up that was fun? You can let us know about that.
I did. I just closed as Sheila in a chorus line at Temple, which is really exciting. And then in the spring, I'm assistant directing an MFA thesis. And if anyone in the Philadelphia area is looking for an assistant or associate choreographer, I am happy to reach out to you because I would love to break into the scene a little bit more. So yeah.
Great.
After the Barrymores, I'll have an orchestral workshop that I'm doing with American Lyric Theater, an opera called She Who Dared, and then I'm making my Kentucky opera debut in December.
Oh, nice. Nice. Oh, how I wish I could go to Kentucky.
What about you, Amina?
I want to see that. Oh, so I am currently in rehearsals for Intimate Apparel at the Arden. The Arden is like my home theater. I like to call it my home theater because I've directed there more than I've directed any place else in the city. And I love the Arden. So they invited me back to do Intimate Apparel, and we're in rehearsals, and we actually open right before the Barrymore Awards. Yep. What defines theater in Philadelphia for you? I'll go first while you all think, because I think I have an answer right away. For me, theater in Philadelphia feels like home. I am born and raised in South Philly. Get with it if you don't know. Get with it. South Philly, we're here. Okay. I did undergrad at Temple University. I did grad school at Temple University. And then I left Philadelphia and I've lived in New York. I've lived in Los Angeles. I've traveled all over the country with tours and things. But being back in Philly is home to me. You know, it is real deal home. And so anything that I do here has a very special connection to me, because it always reminds me that I'm just that little Black girl from South Philly out here in these Philly streets now making theater. You know, who knew? Who knew? So yeah, Philly theater means home to me.
I would say that to me, Philly theater is beautiful imperfection. I think that there are a lot of places that, not only educationally but artistically, where theater artists are like carbon copy machines, and you're there to produce a product, but it's not about each artist individually being appreciated for the things that they bring to the table that aren't stereotypically perfect. And I think that's what drew me to come study theater in this city, is that there's so much authenticity that everyone brings into every show that they do, every song they release, every mural they create. And I think that because everyone brings a little bit of their imperfection to the table, it makes the most beautiful mural and collection of art. So yeah, I think that's what Philly theater is to me.
I love that.
My answer is so close to what you said, Amina, just because I started here. I came here right after college for a contract, and that's what introduced me to Philadelphia theater, and I stayed for a couple of years. And then I did start to work regionally elsewhere, and so I left for a while, and I was gone for a handful of years. And when I was at a crossroads again, and it was like, well, it's time to settle down and go somewhere, and start again. It was a very clear choice for me. So, and I'm very happy I had a partner that was like, okay, I'll try the East Coast and see what happens. So yeah, I think even when I left, I knew that I would be back, even though I didn't know when, why, or how. But I knew that I wanted Philadelphia to be my home almost immediately after being here my very first year. So yeah, I love the Philadelphia theater scene, as I've already said. I'm a huge sports fan. If you keep noticing, I keep looking down. It's because it's Game 4 on the Philly elimination game, and I didn't realize that when I booked this. But if you're listening, you should be a Philly fan anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, I mean, I love this city so much, so I'm happy to call it home and do theater, and that's great. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I was also born and raised here, Southwest Philly, close to South Philly.
Get with it. Get with it.
I did a lot of my. I went to college elsewhere, so I spent a lot of my adulthood away from the city, and traveling and doing other shows elsewhere. But I saw so much theater growing up here. So coming back here and actually being a part of the community, it feels very real to me. It feels very real, and it feels, and another big word that just stays in my head when I think about it is community. Because every time that I've done a show back here in Pennsylvania, back in my hometown, I have felt like everyone that is from the city, at least, is just so real and authentic, and like we're all just trying to tell stories and do it well, and all just trying to survive in this artistic life that we're leading. And it just feels really beautiful, as Eliana said, but it feels real to me.
Love it. Love it. Jamie Powell.
Hey. Yeah, I think I want to pull a lot from like what you just said, Chabrelle, and also you, Eliana. Philly theater to me is really about a motorcycle driving by. Philly theater really is about humanity to me. I think that because we really get to know each other as people and as humans, we can hold space for each other in a way that if you go to a place like New York or LA, you really don't get the chance to do because everybody is working, and it's just like go, go, go. Like the environment is so much different. And I feel so blessed to have had the opportunity to like go to school with Eliana and like other students too, and then to see us start to venture out into the Philly scene and having that type of relationship as we are venturing into this new chapter of our life is so important. And have that without having ended up in this place together. So Philly theater is just really about humanity, and even like thinking about like the Fringe Festival and how that opens up space for people to do literally any type of performance art that they desire. Like I think we see so many different kinds of like artistic expression, but at the end of the day is just us expressing our humanity. So that's what theater is for me.
I love that. I love that, y'all. And I'm just, again, I'm so happy to see your faces. I've just missed all of you immensely, except for Jamie and Eliana. I see them in class. But I just want to thank you for your time and you know, your time joining us to talk to the people who are going to watch this, you know, the Barrymores buzz about Once on This Island. So yeah, I just want to thank you for your time. And for those of you who have been listening, thank you for your time. And I hope that we've entertained you for a little bit, telling you about some of our experiences. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you all at the Barrymores.
Yes, see you all at the
Let's
Barrymores.
party.
I know.